Honestly, I think you and I are always doing so much. And so for me, it's a time of that human being, of just being. Um, the slogan to my meditation course was shelter in place and shelter in grace. And so while we're sheltering in place, it's a beautiful time to connect to our grace and to just be present with all of our inner essence and all of the things that we wish we had time to do.
Yeah, I love that. Your video is perfectly clear now. You're totally
Wonderful. I'm
here.
so glad you can hear and it's clear. I wanted to be out in nature, but the Wi-Fi looks like we're in good condition.
Yeah, yeah, so far so good. So you mentioned that you have an online course, and I believe if I'm right, it actually tonight's the last night to sign up for it, right?
Yes, it is. And I know you and I in our previous live talked a lot about sadhana, and you and I really embody that in the daily practice. And so this course really came about because people really asked me so much about, well, what is a part of your sadhana? What are the what are the wake up routines? What are the spinal exercises you recommend doing before meditation? And so I really just break it down in this 20 days of all the themes, working on forgiveness, abundance, all of my favorite things. And it's been we're on day 3, so I'm cutting off at the end of tonight, and just people have already had transformations and awakenings. And so we're just holding space, and it's such a privilege to do that.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful. I know for sure that
Yeah.
every time I've ever been in one of your classes or in practice with you, that it is transformational. Like you go right in, it's good stuff. You really know what you're doing. And so yeah, anyone who
Thank
might be
you.
interested in deepening your practice or could use that extra little boost, go to her page. Is it the link in the bio to sign up?
Yeah, link in bio. Send me a message if you have any questions. Inspire_zoo.
Yeah.
And we'll be sharing a lot about Kundalini Yoga, but all around, all levels for everyone.
Love that. Okay. And so
Yeah.
yesterday, a friend of mine asked, because I know that you were on the live that I did with Jonathan, and we talked a little bit about Kundalini yoga, but didn't go into too much about it. A friend of mine sent in a message and said, "Hey, I love yoga, but I've never heard of Kundalini yoga, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Rebecca. Hey there, good to see you."
Hi, Mom.
Oh, she's so sweet. So tell us, um, sort of like the basics of Kundalini yoga. What is Kundalini, and sort of like
Sure.
the approach? Because you're just to remind everyone. I know I mentioned this earlier, but you were when you were 14 years old, you became the youngest at the time Kundalini yoga instructor.
Yeah.
And so you've been practicing meditation and yoga since you were a little kid, like 5 and 7 years old.
Yeah.
So tell us like sort of the overview. What's like the elevator pitch of what Kundalini yoga?
For sure. So Kundalini Yoga is using the sounds of mantras, which whether you know what they mean or not, is having a powerful impact on our psyche. It's connecting to the planetary system. So many amazing effects of mantras. And it's not using Sanskrit, it's using Gurbani. Kundalini Yoga, a lot of times people see people wear a turban. It doesn't have to go with the Sikh religion, but there's a lot that we pull from Sikhism. And so Sikhism from northern India, which is where I actually studied in school for a year, uses Gurbani, which is just as Sanskrit, a very ancient language of beautiful text. And in accordance with the mantras, we use mudras, which is movements of the fingers. And, this is connected to our motor sensories, and we can get into that in a little bit of how that helps our mental health. But it's beautiful with Kundalini Yoga to understand mudras in a deeper way. And we also use angles of the body. So one of the most popular Kundalini Kriyas might be ego eradicator, and your arms are at 60 degrees for a reason. And so it's very scientific. I find that we're really doing things for a specific reason, for a specific end goal result. And so in Kundalini Yoga, a series of postures are called a Kriya. And so this Kriya has that specific end goal result. And we also really use pranayama, as does every lineage. But in Kundalini Yoga, breath of fire really energizes and wakes us up. And we have Sitali breath and so many Cannon breath, and there's so many, and it's beautiful to have something drawn for everything that you might be needing. I think there's about 3,000 Kriyas and Kundalini meditations, so many topics and themes. And I also would love to add that, because I started so young, Yogi Bhajan would always say, these are the teachings to help us get through the Aquarian age. And that is a time when these power structures are going to come tumbling down, and the Great Awakening, this time of complete reverse of what we know. And so if we take a moment and pause, I think we can all collectively agree that we are going through that time. And these are the techniques, the science, the teachings to get us through those stormy seas, to navigate with clarity, that pineal gland, our pituitary system, that clarity of why we meditate is supporting us to get through this and to come out of it more awakened and more connected to ourselves.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love everything that you just said. And
Thank
yeah, I
you.
couldn't agree more. We're looking around the world. We are 100% living in the times of fulfillments of ancient prophecies. I think all of the ancient world traditions have different prophecies that we could say are being fulfilled today. And not just the pandemic, even before the pandemic. The pandemic is like a cherry on top. You know, it's like, it's just one part of it. But there's definitely a great need for massive recalibration, a massive reorganization, and those kinds of things really do start with ourselves. You know, recalibrating our own energy. And you're back. So yeah, I was just saying that the reorganization.
I got an Amber Alert, ironically.
Oh wow. Okay, well, let's send good vibes. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, the time that we're in is all about the recalibration, the reorganization of power structures of society, the way we operate, the way we distribute resources. And those things really do start within. You're not going to go out into the world and create a healthy society if you don't understand health. You know, and
it starts within.
Yeah, it starts within. It starts with us. So that's why, you know, we've talked in the past about sadhana being the daily practice. And I love what you said about the different aspects of Kundalini yoga. You described it really perfectly with the mantra, the mudra, the pranayama or breath work, and angles of the body. And then I also wanted to just sort of I received another question earlier today. Someone knew that you were going to be the guest, so they submitted a question about the Gurbani mantras, about where they come from. So, did you have some input on that?
Sure. So I right before I go into that, I did want to mention one thing that I left out on Kundalini Yoga, which is what is Kundalini, right? What is that energy? And so the minor detail. And I just wanted to say, you know, we like to visualize it as a serpent, this Kundalini serpent snake of Shakti. In a lot of lineages, we call Shakti that energy. And so we focus a lot on the spine in Kundalini Yoga because that nadi, the Shushumna spine, nadi is our central channel for that awakening. And so if we can really use the Kundalini teachings to help bring that energy, that serpent, to rise from our root to our crown, we start to elevate our well-being. And so I just wanted to mention that as well. And so Gurbani, you know, I actually used to speak Punjabi and it was very well versed in Gurbani. I think I'm a little bit rusty and I don't want to say too wrong, but it is thousands of years old and it's used within. I see a lot of crossover. So right now, I can give an example. In the 20-day sadhana, we're doing the Siri Gayatri mantra, which is Rama Dasa Sa Se Sohang. And this is a beautiful mantra, and it's a mantra for healing. And it connects to Ramadasa is earth and Sa Se Sohang is the ether, and we're connecting the two, and it connects to the planet. So Ra is the sun, Ma is the moon, Da is the earth, Sa is the cosmos. And so there's such power in these vibrations of sound, and that is Gurbani. Gurbani we use in prayer. So in the Sikh religion, there's the Guru Granth Sahib, which is similar to a Bible or a Torah or the Quran. And those are all written in Gurbani. And so from a religious standpoint, there's that understanding. But then from a Kundalini standpoint, we're using those sound vibrations to powerfully connect us to the infinite and to the cosmos that exists within us. And Sa Se Sohang. Sohang alone means I am thou. And I was really blessed to actually, my whole spiritual journey began through Siddha Yoga Meditation Center. And that's much more of a Vedic, just sitting in stillness and connecting. And we use the mantra Om Namah Shivaya a lot, and specifically So Hum. And so for me, So Hum is a very sacred sound, and that is the same as So Hung. So Hum means I am that.
Mm.
So hung means I'm thou. So let us just, the same way we're crossing religion, for me that's like so special to me, is how can we just bring more unity versus divide? I feel the same way with all of these different spiritual lineages. How can we bring unity and seeing that we're all chanting really that same meaning of seeing God within ourselves, seeing God in our neighbors and our brothers and sisters. So I just wanted to, hopefully that helps a little bit about mantras.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And we're sort of like going back and forth, but to return to the Kundalini topic specifically, I work in, I'm like you, where I'm really interested in where do all the different traditions agree? What are the areas, I'm a truth seeker, and so when I was in college studying comparative religion, I stopped referring to comparative religion as such. And because I didn't like this idea of comparing and contrasting what's different, what I started to do is engage in collaborative religious studies, where I like to say, like, how can we collaborate? What's actually true here? What's the real thing that's going to be helpful for us here? And what I found is that there are quite a bit of universal truths. And I also found that there's a lot of people who are genuinely afraid of other traditions. And for a while that felt like intolerance to me. But now as I mature and as I age, I find my heart goes out to people who have that genuine fear. People don't want to be afraid. And when you're afraid, you literally aren't open to understanding something, Yeah, there's a block.
Yeah,
Yes,
you block
yes.
yourself off. And I mean, we've known each other for about a decade, and one of the people that we both love so dearly is Marianne Williamson, who I'm so excited to have on your live in the next coming days. But, that was one of the first books I read, is A Return to Love. And so love is the absence of fear. And that's just such a powerful theme that she speaks so much about. And that's what you're bringing up, is that fear is really creating a divide. It's creating a block, and you're not allowing yourself to see. And with that blocked space, you're also not able to forgive. The closed off heart is actually causing us so much harm. And forgiveness is really so powerful. And so if we see others, and rather than blocking off, I think the world will be a better place.
Totally. And then what I think one of the gifts that I seek to cultivate is, look, I'm not trying to tell someone don't be afraid of that, because if they're afraid of something, it's like, that's not going to be helpful. So I try to see, how can I reach in there? How can I communicate? What's a way that I can actually be beneficial and supportive and loving to that person? And how can I see it from their perspective?
Right.
And then ideally, therefore, communicate more clearly. And I have found that specifically surrounding the Kundalini lineage, a lot of people, it's very misunderstood. And I found, and first of all, a lot of people love it, and a lot of people are super receptive to it and have amazing experiences, like myself. That's the only, I practice a lot of different kinds of yoga, but Kundalini is the only instructor certification that I hold. Did you know that?
I don't know if I thought I heard you mention that with Donovan, and then I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I never ever teach, but it is my favorite. I had an opportunity with Hari Jivan to do the teacher training years ago, which I like had the most.
I think I tell people, just do the teacher training, because it's so much more than physical. And as a 14-year-old, I had no intention of ever teaching, and that's how our soul takes us down the path that we're meant to. And here I am, 15 years later, and I'm still teaching. But Kundalini Yoga teacher training is powerful. It's 9 months. I mean, depending on what school you go to, but it's so much. Like, did you do that course where you like die and are reborn, and you're facing these skills and tools and teachings that are beyond the physical? And so I love that you've been through that, and we can relate to this.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. But what I found is particularly Christianity doesn't understand it, you know, because especially since the serpent has such a different symbol to that culture. And that's part of what I think is so important for us to realize, is that these are different cultures, and cultures have completely different personalities and experiences. And so that which we don't understand is not necessarily something to be afraid of. You know,
Right.
it's like, just because you don't know, just because you haven't had that food yet doesn't mean you're not going to love it once you try it,
Exactly.
you know. And so what I've really found a great way to communicate to Christianity the notion of the rising of the serpent of Kundalini is that we have a base nature, we have a dual nature, a higher nature and a lower nature, which is straight up biblical, straight up out of Galatians. And that resonates truly with Kundalini. And the idea is to go from that lower nature and begin to operate from our higher nature, you know. And so I find Kundalini yoga to be 100% perfectly compatible with Christianity. You just have to understand what you're doing, you know. And it's about reframing in a way that supports and works with truth. No one's trying to force anyone to do anything, you know. Definitely not us, you know. The idea is, how can we help, and what are the tools available that help? And I don't want, the only reason I go to the extra effort to explain Kundalini yoga in that way is because of how beneficial it actually has been for me. You know,
I think making it relatable is so key, and I'm so grateful. And I think that's been one of my main callings, is because I'm so young and I'm teaching, I really teach to a lot of youth and teens, and just making it less of the dogmatic, like less intense. Like Kundalini can be very overwhelming, and I've met so many people who've gone to a class and they're like, oh, never doing that again. And I feel for them. I understand. I'm like, you just held like a pose for 30 minutes and it was painful. So my calling is really, how can I make it tangible, digestible, relatable, fun and exciting? So yeah, you're clearing karmas, you're working through deep stuff, but it doesn't have to be so much. You know, I do fusions as well, which wasn't originally suggested as taught by Yogi Bhajan, but my personal teacher Guru Singh and I many years ago had a talk, and I said, you know, I'm really wanting to get people through the door, and these fusions that I'm offering are very effective. And I think that, as you said, we don't want to force anything on them, and I just want to be able to share and have them have a positive experience. And if they're ready to dive deeper, then by all means, let me give you the books and the teachings to do that. But let me just be a space where you can experience. And I know that your conversation with Chris on my intent was a lot about that too, is how can we offer just that wider community that, especially now more than ever before, is waking up and they're ready. Maybe they're not waking up, but they're ready. And that's the key, is, okay, we're ready to do something because now we have the time. And so I think you and me, with your amazing books, are really helping people understand that whether you're a beginner or you're advanced, there's so much that we can come together and learn.
Right. And part of why I love working in the context of beginners, and why I chose to use that word in the title of my first book, Practical Meditation for Beginners, the entire introduction is about the beginner's mind. The reality that, like, yes, I'm a Kundalini yoga instructor. I'm a beginner still. I went through a lot, and it was a big experience, you know, and it really it was a big part of my life, but I'm still a beginner. And I think that maintaining that receptivity and that open-mindedness, the beginner's mind, it's like the Zen concept of the beginner's mind. In the beginner's mind, there are infinite possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few, right? So maintaining that open-mindedness, the reality is not every path is for everybody, you know? So it's like, are you interested in diving deeper down this path? Wonderful. Just because you have a few vegan meals doesn't mean anyone's trying to hold a gun to your head and make you be vegan every single day, you know? I think I feel great when I eat a really clean plant-based diet, you know? But it's more about just really trying to do what's right for us as individuals, you know.
And also everything in balance, right? And I think that's what you're saying as well. And that's, as a teacher, I think I'm always telling people, like, that's okay, go do that or go do this, but where is that center? Where are you balanced? No extreme of anything, whether it's religion or a diet, is ever really beneficial, I find. And so how can we maintain balance and connection to what speaks to us? It might not speak to someone else, but we're connected to what feels right to us. And as you were saying with that beginner concept, my fusion, my specialty class is really, I call KCF, it's a core Kundalini core flow. And so I like to teach some hatha, I like to teach some yin, I like to teach some flow, and really make it back to its basics. And I've had teachers who've been teaching for so long come to my class and they're like, oh my God, I forgot how much I just needed to slow down and do the basics. Because no matter, like, I can do the splits and I'm so flexible, but if I don't do the basics, my body is not really benefiting in the ways that it can. And yoga has, my other great friend and teacher, Mark Whitwell, who studied under Krishnamacharya, a teacher of Hatha yoga, says that yoga has become the gymnastics of these yoga magazine covers of one arm balances, and it's so true. I have people coming to, when I used to teach public classes, oh, can you just take a photo of me doing this handstand? I'm like, I didn't teach that in my class. Yeah, I know. Can you just take a picture of it? And I think everything, I give blessings to whatever resonates with people. And if that's getting them to their mat, then that's wonderful. But let us not forget what yoga really is and how it's supporting us. The movement is just supporting us to come into stillness and to really sit in that meditation. And you and I are huge believers of the power of meditation. And I think that's why we love yoga, because it helps us go deeper in our meditation practice.
Oh yeah, definitely. I teach a couple places that's only meditation with no yoga at all. And I even just like to say, like, look, if we're not going to do any yoga, at least just move and stretch your body just a little bit before we sit down.
Yeah.
For me, there's nothing like a full yoga sequence. Like there's nothing like doing a yoga class. I mean, it really is incredible. And, it's like you said, we have to get to the mat. And if getting to the mat is, I want to build up and do a really great scorpion or a really great whatever showy, beautiful pose, then cool. Get onto your mat, because in the course of that meditation, in the course of that yoga practice, it's meditative. It's bringing the mind and the body into each other, which is a universal spiritual need. We want our higher nature and our lower nature to be in better communication with one another. We want our higher nature to tame the lower nature so that we can live more enlightened lives,
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you about, you're a certified brain longevity specialist.
Yeah.
So I want to hear a little bit more about what that entails.
Sure. So there's a specific meditation, which I'm sure you're familiar, called Kirtan Kriya. And a lot of us in Kundalini Yoga have been practicing it for decades, and we feel how powerful it is. But recently, a lot of leading medical schools in US as well as globally have started doing research on it. And so the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, founded by Dr. Dharma Singh, started overseeing all of this. And he's an incredible author and doctor. And they basically were able to show before and afters of the Kirtan Kriya. And it was amazing. They had a control group, people just using headspace, people just meditating or relaxing, and then people doing Kirtan Kriya. And you can DM me for visuals because I don't have any with me, but basically you'll see that in the before, there's a lot of dimples in the brain. And so where those dimples are your memory lapses, your lack of cognitive function, where your forgetfulness is, and most of us have that. But after 12 weeks, all the dimples were completely full. So the brain was like completely all filled out. And there's not even medicine that can do that. And then also you'll see in the before and after, the pituitary gland, that pineal rock, which is why we meditate, to have that alertness, concentration, focus, is also crystallized after 12 weeks. So it's a full formed rock, whereas in before it was non-existent. And I took Alzheimer's Research Prevention Foundation, held a course to become a certified brain specialist. And it resonated a lot with me just because when I went to university, I studied humanitarian as a minor within international affairs. How can I continue to give back? And that's been my heart's biggest calling. And part of my family were like, wait, you're just going to be a yoga teacher? And I'm like, things will work out, don't worry. And when I fell upon this Alzheimer's Foundation, I was like, well, this is the perfect bridging of giving back to a cause that is so needed. This epidemic and this this disease is really affecting every 66 seconds, someone's getting Alzheimer's, and specifically 2/3 of them are women. And my grandfather had it. So of course it's in my awareness of how can I consciously make sure that I take care of myself. And I think all of us need to take care of our mental health. And that's why I'm so grateful for this IG Live and your series for mental health awareness during this month. So yeah, I took the certification course and I've just dived so deep into the science behind spirituality, because a lot of those people, as we spoke about, that are very closed off, they need the science. I go to a lot of corporations. I've been doing a lot of corporate wellness, which has been awesome and so rewarding, because I don't think normally they would have been open to it. But now I'm like, hold on, we have UCLA, we have Stanford, we have all these schools with brain scans, and this is your language. And so I've been doing something called a brain booster, and it's my course. I teach yoga, meditation, talk about the 4 pillars of our mental health, and it's powerful stuff. And we realize that not only does it reverse your memory loss, but it works with depression. So in the control group, we had a 62% decline in depression. We also noticed it released anxiety. People went into their REM sleep way faster. They woke up with a lot more natural energy. Your emotional well-being is a lot better. A lot of my clients who do it have they can remember their dreams, and it's like vivid dreams, which is awesome. And something that has been really popular, especially in LA and Beverly Hills, is this anti-aging, right? And so this meditation actually by 43% reverses your telomerase genes, which are your anti-aging DNA. And so that's awesome.
Yeah, and I have a question. First of all, I'm so loving this. I want to get more info about your brain boosting meditation. And time is just totally flying by. I love talking with you. So I want to ask you, have there been any studies about, like you're giving me a lot of good information about like the brain scans and the areas that it affects, like, and first of all, sleep, getting good sleep, that's good for your mental health. That alone is so much bigger than people realize. But have there been any, is there any info that we have on any kind of like tumors, the reversal of tumor growth or anything like that you've heard of?
I'd have to research that and get back to you. I know that, of course, from a healing perspective, I know we know so many healers, and they can zap that with their ability to heal. And we all have the ability to heal. And that's what my 20-day meditation course is realizing that we each are healers, and we can heal ourselves, we can heal the planet. However, in terms of a specific mantra and a mudra to help with that, I don't know it off the top of my head. I know that, you know, within this, like, we're hitting the different finger points, and those are connected to the planet. So you have Jupiter for knowledge, and Saturn is patience, and your ring finger is the sun, vitality, your pinky is Mercury for communication. And so as we're tapping this, we're working on so many things, but it's connected to our brain. And so those motor sensors are waking up the brain. And that's why specifically this meditation works on.
So what does that, I was just asking because my father actually has a brain tumor, and
I will totally get back to you on that for sure. My godmother right now is extremely ill as well, with tumors all over her body. And so,
and I think, I mean, especially, you know, he sort of falls into that category where he's like, if he sees the science, he'll be receptive. But underdeveloped science or underproven, it's like he's less receptive to. But I want to come back to what is your brain booster meditation? What does it look like?
Yeah. So the Brain Booster course fills a lot of things, but the meditation specifically, we're going to use the mantra of Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. And for those of you new to Kundalini watching this, Sat Nam is the Bij mantra. Bij is the seed. And so in Kundalini Yoga, we greet with Sat Nam, we end with Sat Nam, and Sat is our truth, our inner essence, and Nam is our name, our identity. So it's really identifying with our inner essence as our truth to show up authentically. And so when you break up Sat Nam into those 4 primordial sounds, you get Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. And it's also those 4 sounds are the cycle of life. Sa is birth, Ta is life, Na is death, and Ma is rebirth. So as you're repeating these sounds, you're connecting to that universal consciousness of life, that circle. And by saying these sounds, you're hitting 84 different acupressure points on the roof of your mouth, which is super cool. That's something that they did in the research, the hypothalamus, your tongue hits these points. And I know Donovan spoke about it as well. It's those vibrations are sending the signals to the brain. The neurotransmissions are changing in the brain. And that's why we do mantras. That's why we chant. And so we pair the mantra with the mudra. So you're going to move the fingers with the sounds, activating the motor sensors, and we use visualization as well. So we imagine that light currency of the sound like an L coming in through the crown chakra, coming out of the third eye. And yeah, that's pretty much the main, in short. Again, like this is a long course. I'm giving it in as many quick minutes as I can, but it's something that everyone can do. I've been working a lot with kids actually right now during this whole quarantine time, and I have this ADHD kid who is incredibly growing with this meditation, because moms are like, oh, he won't sit for more than a minute. I'm like, just wait.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when your mind is focusing on moving fingers and saying sounds, you have so much to focus on that you don't, the monkey mind, the chitti vritti, isn't as frivolously running around. And so I think it's a wonderful meditation for beginners, just because our mind is always going to have the thoughts, but if we focus on the mantra, man is the mind and tra is to transcend. So we're transcending these thoughts by using the sound. And I love teaching all ages, all demographics, all people, and I've noticed that support it's been for people new to it, or specifically kids and teenagers as well, because we can all benefit. It doesn't have to be reversing memory loss, just working on anxiety, working on sleep. These are all tools and benefits that we can all benefit from.
Well, would you like to lead us in a little sampling?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I will put the soundtrack in the background, and we can maybe do it for just like 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay.
So this is just like a little appetizer. I definitely recommend everyone go follow Inspires You. And you always have wonderful stuff. So just like absorb her content, follow everything that she posts. Really, really good stuff. You offer a lot of courses and stuff too. So hop in.
Thank you. All right. So let's just take a moment. Our eyes are closed if possible. Try to leave your phone out of your hands for just this 1 minute. Closing the eyes, focusing on the breath, as we give ourselves this opportunity to experience something new, to connect to the mantra, the movement of our fingers, the breath. Take a deep inhaling breath. Exhale, let it go. And we begin. Satanama. Move your fingers with the sound. Nama. Satanama. 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 Take a deep inhaling breath. Hold the breath. Engage Mulban, sacrum lock, root lock. Exhale, let the breath relax. Gyan Mudra, index and thumb touching, and just allow yourself to sit for 1 moment in that bliss of Ananda, of pure serenity, tranquility. Allow the mind to feel relaxed, connected to the body. And when we are ready, you can bring our hands to our heart center, palms touching, balancing the polarities with our mind. And we can end with the sound of Sat Nam, inhaling deep. Sat Nam. barely opening our eyes. I think that was the quickest I've ever done, but I
Me too.
hope those of you watching experience. That was a minute and a half, so there you go.
Yeah, that was super quick. And thank you so much for that. So, guys, I just want to recommend that you definitely go check out her work. She's got wonderful stuff. Her name's Arezu. Her Instagram handle is inspire_ZU, inspires you. So go check
Yay!
out what she's got going on. And if this is interesting to you and you could use some support keeping up a meditation practice, she's got, tonight is the last night to join her 20-day program. So go join, jump right on in. And she's super consistent, super available for any questions or anything like that. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Arezu. It means so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, I can't believe 40 minutes flew by. I knew that that was like the time cutoff. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for just being such a light bearer, for sharing and bringing all of us on board to talk about the power of meditation and mental health and kind of releasing the stigma around that and letting people dive into it. I can't wait till we continue to do these lives. And your new book is in the, I ordered it. It's on its way. I can't wait to read it. I'll share about it.
Oh,
So thank you
much.
for, you are just constantly releasing. And I think people, this is why we meditate, so that we can tap into that creativity, whether it comes in a form of a book like it does for Ben, or through a song and through so many ways. It's a wonderful time to really tap into yourself and allow the divinity to express in whatever way it's meant to. So thank you all. I saw so many amazing friends tune in, and Masood Ali Khan, who's a dear friend of both of ours, amazing musician. So many of you guys. So thank you for being here, and see each other on each other's page. See you on the meditation challenge, and see you soon. Let me know how that was for you guys. If you did it, send me a message. Let me know how it was, and I could send you all the resources, the songs, and all of it.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I had a great experience, even though it was only a minute and a half. So I'm going to go do a full practice now, because I got like the little, it whet my appetite for it. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining. Make sure to follow Arezu, and I'll see you soon, sweetheart.
See you soon. Sat Nam.
Sat Nam.